fugitive. Tonight's captures include Stephen Lewis. On the run, you track this convicted child molester to California. And now he's back where he belongs, behind bars. Also tonight, he was a part-time actor and a full-time playboy. But when the money was gone, police say he turned to arson and is responsible for the deaths of 4 brave firefighters. Tonight, Martin Pang is cast in a role he never expected. He is America's most wanted.
Good evening from Washington, D.C. I'm John Walsh. Our first story tonight is from Seattle, Washington, where 4 believe their deaths were no accident. They think they know who is responsible. Just yesterday, they charged him with murder. They say his motive was greed, and his weapon was fire.
You have to be a little bit nuts to begin with, because as everybody's running away, you're running in. And firefighters will knock each other over for the privilege of getting hold of that nozzle and going in and being the one that slayed the dragon.
On the evening of January 5th, the dragon was on the loose in Seattle's International District, devouring an aging warehouse. Among the first units to respond was Engine Company 13. At the helm was Greg Shoemaker, a 23-year veteran of the fire department. He would lead his team through the smoke and fire.
Almost every time we had a fire, he would show us something new.
One of the things he said was, you're inside a building and, you know, you've knocked down some of the fire, but maybe it's somewhere else. Stop. Listen. Can you hear it? You know, can you hear it crackling somewhere?
Lieutenant Shoemaker and his team are shown in these fire department photos seen here for the first time, moments before entering the mouth of the fire. Tragically, Shoemaker would never make it out.
Greg was born to be a firefighter. It's just like a thoroughbred was born to race. Why, he came from a firefighting family.
Fighting alongside Shoemaker was Randy Terlicker, assigned to Engine 13 for 4 years.
I don't think they felt threatened. I think they thought they had that fire kind of under control, and he was with his lieutenant, who he had the most admiration for.
Newlywed James Brown was another rookie to be trained by Shoemaker.
He was one of few people in this world who are happy to go to work every day, who got bored on vacations because he wasn't at work.
After 24 years with the department, Lieutenant Walter Kilgore's experience matched Shoemaker's.
It was so many years, and unfortunately, we had a false sense of security.
The firemen fought back the flames surrounding them, not realizing the more sinister threat was lurking down below.
As the floor started rumbling and we had 2.5 seconds of the loudest thunder you ever heard, Lieutenant Shoemaker yelled for everybody to get the hell out.
To be able to yell, Shoemaker took off his oxygen mask, his final act of heroism. Moments later, the floor collapsed, dropping Shoemaker and the 3 other firefighters into the raging inferno. On the perimeter above them, their comrades desperately reached their hands down into the belly of the beast, trying to save them.
We probably had temperatures in the range of 12 to 1,500 degrees. That'd be like jumping down your chimney into the firebox. And these firefighters were trying to walk into this heat headlong in an attempt to rescue their comrades that were down below.
But it was too late. Those comrades would be consumed by the very heart of the fire they were attacking.
He made it out before.
So you thought he would make it out this time?
Yeah, we had hope. Small hope. It was the only thing getting us by.
Kept watching all the news and trying to figure out what's going on. And right after we got ready for bed, the doorbell rang. And I said, "Who is it?" And he said, "The fire department." I knew then.
When we first heard it on the TV that there was a fire, and 4 firemen were missing, we knew immediately that it was Greg.
How did you know it was him?
Premonition. I knew my son. I knew he was a very, very aggressive firefighter. I knew if anyone was in that building, he was there. And so I just had to go to the fire scene. I just had a bad premonition that something had happened. And when I got there, I was right.
In keeping with a long-standing tradition, the 4 fallen firefighters were carried from the scene with salutes and silence.
We want to extend our sympathy to the families of all those firemen. Our hearts just really go out to them. We just feel so badly about it.
Mary Pang has a tragic connection to the firemen. They died trying to save her family's business. She and her husband Harry, pictured here with their son Martin, started Pang's Frozen Foods 40 years ago. In an interview after the fire, the Pang said they were mystified by the cause.
That's just a habit of ours, too. Just routinely go over and check everything. Be sure they unplug the coffee pot and everything.
So you have no idea how it started?
We really don't. We just can't believe it.
If you guys could get together, go through a double check, make sure that your time sequences coordinate with the photos.
A week after the fire, the Seattle Fire Department announced it was arson. So the deaths of 4 firefighters was no accident. In fact, it's first-degree murder. But who emerged as the prime suspect in the fire but the son of the warehouse owners, 39-year-old Martin Pang? Police say Martin Pang only tinkered with the family business. They say his real passion was racing in the fast lane. Investigators say his passion for race cars was fueled with money from his parents' business. He was also trying to make it as an actor. As these shots from his resume reel show, he had a wide range and played a variety of roles. Ironically, one of those roles was in this TV movie about the World Trade Center, where he portrays a man braving a fire trying to save others.
Here, let me help. Okay, easy.
Pang told police he did not have a role in the real-life disaster at his parents' warehouse, that he was in California when it broke out. But he was almost immediately a suspect. In fact, investigators began watching him in December and taking these surveillance photos after getting reports of arson threats.
If he was living off his family business, why would he burn that down?
Because it became apparent to him that the business was in trouble and he was having financial difficulties on his own. He was aware that although the building itself was not worth very much money,
$1,000,
approximately $1,000, that the property itself was worth considerably more than that, and should that warehouse burn down, his parents would receive a considerable insurance settlement.
Just as police and agents from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms finished building their case against Pang, he vanished. But his attorney, John Henry Brown, says his client is innocent, and the only reason he hasn't resurfaced is because he won't get a fair trial.
But don't the families of James Brown and Walter Kilgore and Randy Terlicker and Gregory Shoemaker deserve some answers?
Certainly. The overwhelming nature of this tragedy makes the climate even more unlikely that unless everybody's careful, fair trial would not occur. And it's very sad. It's very tragic. It also creates a climate where we've got to solve this case. And we're going to do it. And sometimes we focus too quickly on the wrong people.
And so the handsome actor who was trying to become a star in Hollywood is now the leading man in a real-life cliffhanger. Investigators say complicating the search for Pang are his disguises, including his ability to convincingly play the role of a woman. But fire investigator Captain Ray Risden says he can see through all of them.
Martin Pang's a murderer. He's killed 4 firefighters. The fallout of this tragedy with the 4 deaths has not only devastated the families, but the city of Seattle and surrounding communities.
Lieutenant Walter D. Kilgore, Lieutenant Gary A. Shoemaker, firefighter Randy R. Terlicker, firefighter James T. Brown.
It looked as though the whole city of Seattle came to mourn the fallen heroes, including some 10,000 firefighters.
People had the utmost respect. They would have their hands over their hearts, standing at attention, old men, small children, people crying.
And all those firefighters. It would feel different if someone just left the stove on and there was a fire and this just happened. But someone purposely did this and ripped our family apart, and someone needs to be accountable.
The only way those families can begin to find justice is if you find Martin Pang. He's facing 4 counts of first-degree murder and the deaths of those 4 firefighters. Let's bring him in. Pang is a Chinese-American, 6 feet tall and 175 pounds. He has a scar on his upper chest, and he's an expert in martial arts. Let's show this guy what it's like to play with fire. If you know where Martin Shaw Pang is, give us a call at 1-800-CRIME-TV. When we come back, a young American veteran unexpectedly finds himself battling on home ground.
The Gulf War put him to the test. Then he faced one of America's most wanted.
What's your problem?
Dolores Holmes called seeking justice for her son Chris. Chris was a Marine who proudly served his country during the Persian Gulf War. The early months of 1991 were agony for families with loved ones in Desert Storm. The Holmes family only knew Chris was stationed in Saudi Arabia. And until Iraq surrendered, they prayed nightly for his safe return. And when Chris returned in early 1993, safe and sound after a 4-year stint, his family was overjoyed. So was Chris. He had every reason to believe he was coming home to a bright future.
Chris! Chris! It's so good to have you back.
It's good to be back. From now on, the only sand I'm going to play on is at the beach.
Do I take it you're not planning to re-enlist?
Not me. I'm going back to college. They don't shoot at you there.
Chris was talking about technical schools, so I was kind of excited about that, because he was really smart in school. He would just wanted to go ahead and get his life going again, now as a civilian.
Look at that.
4 years in uniform cracks your style, boy. You're a relic. Practically a dinosaur.
Don't front on me. I taught you how to walk.
You sure you don't know how to practice?
I'm still your big brother. Looking good in those shorts.
So long as you're just looking.
It didn't take long for Chris to make up lost time. On March 30th, 1993, Chris and his brother David were spending the day together.
K05 5730.
He was more than my best friend. Chris was a person that was liked by everyone. He was always in a good mood. You could always go to him and talk to him about anything that you wanted to do. He was always be by your side. We just, real close.
Later that day, Chris and David stopped by their sister Sandy's apartment to help her move.
What you want me to do?
Yeah, all that stuff needs to be moved over there, out there.
Lending a hand was Sandy's husband Wallace and a friend.
They were just trying to make the best of it, and I really liked that about my entire moving crew. As amateur as they were, they got the job done. Chris was the life of any party or any gathering or whatever.
And that was good. Must be fate. Hey, girls, what's up? Oh, you don't know me now, is that it?
Chris walked over, trying to see why she couldn't speak or anything. So that's when the guy that was walking behind her, the dark-skinned guy, said something we didn't understand.
Don't be messing with my girl, man.
What's that?
Police say the angry man was Anthony Smith.
Oh,
Kenyatta Warney, a friend of Smith's, attacked with a knife of his own.
I saw my brother staggering. I was trying to get over there to see what was wrong with him. At that time, I didn't know that he had been stabbed. And I was holding his hand, and, his hand was feeling real cold. But I was, talking to him, telling him to hold on.
Come on, man. You'll be all right. You hear me? Chris, don't die on me. Chris, don't die on me. I'm calling 911. Chris has been stabbed.
Chris! Chris!
Yeah, man, I'm back! I'm back! Say, don't let my go!
Police say the crime scene looked like a small battlefield with casualties to match. Chris Holmes died at the hospital. His brother David suffered a lacerated forehead. Sandy took a bullet to the hand. A family friend who'd been helping out was hospitalized with stab wounds. By the next morning, Decatur detectives arrested Smith and his 17-year-old accomplice, Kenyatta Warney. They were found in the very same apartment complex where the murder took place.
Defendant is a Jamaican.
At the arraignment that day, the prosecution tried to keep Smith in jail.
The facts of this case are compelling. This defendant is a Jamaican. He has absolutely no ties whatsoever to the city of Decatur, and he has no legal, visible source of income.
But Smith did have a lawyer to argue for bail.
Your Honor, this is a classic case of self-defense. My client poses no threat to leave. He poses no threat to anybody. I sincerely urge you grant him bail.
Whether this was a case of self-defense?
Georgia law allows a judge to grant bail even on a murder charge, and the judge in this case was persuaded to let Smith walk free on just $55,000 bail.
When I heard that the judge granted Anthony Smith bail for the murder of my brother, I couldn't believe it. That was unbelievable. My entire family was in an uproar when we heard that. And to this day, I still don't understand why he was granted bail. And so now he's out there somewhere, you know, and my brother is dust now. All I thought about was that all those months that he was in Saudi Arabia and he made it home safely, he had to come home at the age of 22 to get stabbed by this person.
Kenyatta Warney, the other man in the case, pleaded guilty to aggravated assault. He's now serving a 15-year sentence. But Anthony Smith is still out there. Police don't know what Smith was doing in Georgia. He claimed to be from New York. Smith is actually a Jamaican national with no known occupation. As we showed you in our reenactment, Smith does enjoy the company of women. He's 6'2" and 180 pounds, well built with an attitude. Police say Smith took out one of America's finest. Now they need your help to take him off the streets. If you know where Anthony Smith is, call our hotline at 1-800-CRIME-TV. That's 1-800-274-6388. Later on in the hour, the newest fugitive named to the FBI's top 10 list. But first, more of your success stories as we bring you up to date on some of our latest captures.
He hid behind a fake name, but he couldn't hide from you.
I knew it was him, and I called my mother and I said, Ma, you need to watch America's Most Wanted tonight. I think I just saw Caesar on TV.
2 weeks ago, we told you about Moms to Moms, a group in Pontiac, Michigan, fighting back against the violence gripping their city. Well, you very quickly gave them a helping hand. There are tears of joy in Pontiac today. Mayola Reese and the other members of Moms to Moms have something to be grateful for. Your calls helped them find this man, Alfred Owens, a man wanted for the brutal execution-style killing of one mother's only son.
I really appreciate everyone for calling in, everyone for helping. And thank you. I wish I know who you was. I'd give you the biggest hug there was.
Once we received tips from Saturday's show, we immediately focused, myself and the Pontiac Police Department, on the Nashville, Tennessee area.
That's the apartment. That's the building. He goes by the nickname of 6:30 p.m. on February 23rd, Nashville FBI agents closed in on Owens' apartment. They knew Owens had the very real potential of living up to his street name, AK-47. They took every precaution necessary to make sure he didn't, but Owens wasn't going to make it easy.
FBI agents located Owens inside an apartment here. At this time, Owens has refused to come out. Negotiations with him are ongoing.
Owens then threatened to kill all the agents at his front door. What followed was a tense 5-hour standoff.
On 911, we were speaking with him. He wants the FBI to call him. He also...
2 other people were inside the apartment with Owens, so police knew they couldn't take any chances.
These people are going to need to move back because they're right in the line of fire.
Dozens of SWAT team members watched and waited, trying to negotiate Owens' surrender. Then finally, a breakthrough.
I immediately contacted Alfred's mother and advised her to solicit his surrender, at which point he did surrender upon speaking with his mother.
The fact that a mother's words were more powerful than 70 guns didn't surprise this mom back in Michigan, Mayola Reese.
I think it was a wonderful deed, and I know that it was hard for her, but I'm sure that she would rather visit her son in prison than have to go and stand over and look at a body in a funeral home.
As far as Moms to Moms is concerned, this marks only the beginning of their goal, to build a safer city for their children.
It is not going to stop anyway soon, but as far as Moms to Moms are concerned, we're doing as much as we can, and there isn't enough that we can do, but we can't do it alone.
Tonight, we're also closing the case of Stephen David Lewis. Lewis is a member of a very disgusting group called NAMBLA, the National Man-Boy Love Association. NAMBLA is dedicated to legalizing sex between men and young boys. I've been battling people like Lewis for years. A convicted child molester, Lewis was a fugitive from justice until you made him capture number 351. San Francisco police told us Stephen Lewis, a computer expert, liked to hang out in video game parlors, where he'd run a scam so he could meet young boys.
He'd get a bag full of slugs, and he would feign not knowing how to play the video game. And he would get some assistance. And the kids loved the video game. And so what he would say is, teach me how to play this game. I have all this money. Can you help me? And the kid would take the bait. And then he'd say, Jim, getting kind of hungry. Do you like McDonald's? Do you know a kid that doesn't?
Lewis turned the trust of some of those boys into sexual relationships. By the time we told you his story, Lewis had violated his probation in San Francisco, and there was a warrant for his arrest. He was using a fake name, but dozens of you recognized him and called to say you'd seen him in and around Santa Clara, California.
We were watching a movie, and they were having promos or previews of America's Most Wanted. It just happened to be his picture, and I knew it was him. And I called my mother, and I said, Ma, you need to watch America's Most Wanted tonight. I think I just saw Caesar on TV.
Lisa Rogers and her mother, Gloria McDonald, called our hotline to say that they recognized Stephen Lewis. He was a customer of their Santa Clara answering service, where he used the name Caesar Lewis and picked up mail under several other names, including David Henderson. The operators at the service were stunned to learn the man they knew as Caesar was a fugitive child molester.
And you know what's really weird is that, you know, I'm the evening supervisor. And now that I think about it, when he came, he always had kids in the car.
What kind of kids?
Boys. Boys.
Where he lived. So they asked employees to call 911 as soon as Lewis showed up.
Only problem is he's kind of, I think they thought that he had seen it, you know, been on television. And so, because he's calling in, he's not just coming in to pick his mail, he's calling in to say, is my mail in yet?
Lewis avoided capture for 3 more days. Then came the break in the case.
And I saw the car come around the corner, and I knew it was him. So I immediately told one of my operators, who immediately got 911 on the line, and I sat at my desk, and he came up and he said, Merry Christmas, everybody, and grabbed his mail and walked out, and I said, Merry Christmas, Caesar, and he left. And I went down to my van, and I pretended I was opening the door, and I got the license plate number.
I received a radio call that the suspect was leaving the location and that he was wanted for a felony warrant, and it was all done at gunpoint and real high risk stop. All our lights are on and everything like that. He exited the car, and he was taken into custody. He didn't say anything. He just wanted to talk to his lawyer, and that was about it.
He had a kid with him.
Lewis had a 15-year-old boy with him when he was arrested. A boy police say Lewis had been molesting for years.
In talking to the boy, he's made a contact. You know, there's a bonding with the boy now. He likes this guy. You know, Dad's mistreated the kid, and so he turned to Stephen because Stephen mistreats him in a different way. You know, he mistreats him sexually, but he doesn't beat him. He's nice to him, but he also molests him.
A of the Health and Safety Code of Felonies. The judgment.
Stephen Lewis, alias David Henderson, David Fox, David Boyson, Wayne Ayers, and David Miller, is back in the hands of the law.
I have an attorney. I hired her last week.
Who is it?
The boy with him when he was arrested has declined to cooperate with police. But Lewis will go to prison anyway. He faces 6 to 8 years for a 1991 molesting conviction he ran away from.
Well, it's like Gloria said to me. We were walking down to the car. We just had this Christmas party. It was a mess. She looks at me and she goes, Lisa, God gave us a Christmas present this year. It's a personal thing. I feel very, very, very good about this. We saved a lot of kids from being hurt this year.
Now I want to talk to the kids who are watching tonight. There are a lot of perverts like Lewis out there. If someone you don't know approaches you and offers you something like money, don't take it. If they ask you to go somewhere with them, to get something to eat, for instance, don't go. Now to the big kids. If you see this happening with somebody smaller, back that kid up and help them say, no, go away. If that person still won't leave you alone, tell an adult, someone you trust. It's not your fault, and you won't get into trouble. When we come back, a woman's chance encounter with an old friend and a few drinks leads to murder.
On probation, time this incident happened.
His friends thought he was taking them on a joyride, but only one would make it back alive.
Before there was even a road through these mountains, there was a legend which brought people here. The jumping off place, a point of departure for things people wish lost forever. The road hasn't changed that. On January 15th, 1984, the legend of the jumping off place was mournfully reborn for the citizens of West Jefferson, North Carolina.
See you later, Joe. You take care of your leg, all right? Hey, Mr. Hawk, how you doing today?
23-year-old Sherry Lyle Hart grew up here. She got married, moved away, and had a daughter. But when her marriage failed, she moved back home with her parents, back to West Jefferson.
Did you miss Mommy while I was gone? Yeah. Of course you did. Guess what? What? I brought you a surprise. Oh, boy! Take the groceries in the house, and I'll give it to you when I get in, okay? Hi, honey. Hey, Mom. You better wash your hands. Supper's almost ready. Well, I can't tonight because I have a date with Mitch. Oh. Well, that's good.
She had a date, and she asked me to take care of April. When we got home, we noticed that her car was gone, and we knew that her date had not showed up, and she had gone to town to, you know, just to be with the other people, young people in town.
You think Bobby be glad we walked his car? I think Bobby glad I walked his car. I don't see you walk.
Richard Lynn Bear and his old friend Jeffrey Scott Burgess also grew up here, then moved away. But on this weekend, police say they were back in West Jefferson, looking for action.
What? You that old sheriff?
I'll be damned. Old scary sheriff. Hey, let's get us some of that thing. One way or the other. One way or the other.
Hey, Sherry! Long time no see, Skinny. What you doing?
If it ain't Lynn and Jeff, the gruesome twosome. What you guys been up to?
Oh, not much. Oh, just hanging out the car wash looking for women.
Yeah? This is Bobby's car you're out driving around in.
She never misses a thing, does she?
Sherry Hart used to date Lynn Bear's older brother, Bobby. And with time on her hands, she probably didn't see any harm in taking a ride with old friends.
Come on.
Now, why would I want to be seen riding around with you two fellas?
Why don't you do it for old time's sake? Now, we know you know the backseat of this car pretty well. Hey, we got some brew. Come on.
Some brew.
Come on.
Oh, you have to twist it. Okay, let me move the car and get my coat and pocket.
All right, good girl.
Bear was on probation for breaking and entering. Police say he didn't let that get in the way of having a good time.
You'd have moved to Kannapolis, you'd have been instant ugly.
Instant ugly, eh?
Here, wrap your lips around
When I
here,
had
baby.
oh, my dear old. My bladder's so bad. I got it.
Itty bitty baby bladder club.
Give me my jacket, Jess. I don't want you to be peeking now.
Hey, hear Navel, see Navel. Hey, Mr. Burgess, you know my bladder's all of a sudden very full. Pull the port down. Hey, George, what's up now? Don't go nowhere now. Oh, Sherry, wait up, baby. Come here. My little audience, come here, kid. Come here. Get over here. Come here. Hey, Jeff! Hey, where you going?
I'm going back to the car. That's where I'm going.
Oh, calm down. Let's try to have a little bit of fun here. God. Good?
Fun.
Yeah, fun. God. If we'd all relax a little bit, we could have some fun here. What do you think?
He was on probation at the time this incident happened. There was some times that he'd been in fights, temper shown much more when he's drinking or when he's on drugs. And I think that probably he had a completely different personality when he's drinking or on some type of drugs than he did ordinarily.
Damn, Sherry, you still
When
mad?
Sherry insisted, Bear stopped a second time along Highway 16. But Burgess told Ashe County Sheriff's deputies Bear followed her into the woods, just like he promised, one way or the other.
You stay right here. What are you going to do? I'm going to go see if she needs some help. Hey, man. Man, hey.
You shut up, Burgess.
No, it's all right. It's okay. Hey, man, you crazy?
Come and get in the car.
Oh, hey, she's bleeding, Lynn. We gotta get her to a hospital. Too late for that. Hey, man, we gotta take her to a hospital. Listen to me. You're gonna need stitches if you don't help me. Get her in the car right now.
At that point in time, they got in the car and drove down just short of the jumping off place cliff. And they pulled off in a pullover on the left, and that Lynn Bear got Sherry Hart out of the car and told Jeff Burgess to go down to J.D.'s place, which is a beer store, and to turn around and come back up and pick him up.
Better idea. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Come on, what are we doing here? You get in the car. Go to J.D. Okay? Pick me up. Do it. Do it now, Burgess. Get out. Go on. Shut up. Come on. Go. Shut up. Yeah. Shut up.
Where is she, man?
We don't have to worry about her anymore. 1,200-foot drop. Listen to me. You never word about this to anybody. If you know it's good for your wife and kids, then you drive. Drive!
Hey, Connie, I found some more bones over here.
Sherry Lyall Hart was reported missing 3 days later, but her whereabouts were the mountain's well-kept secret for 11 months, until rescue workers recovering a stolen safe discovered her remains 1,200 feet below the jumping-off place.
It would be impossible to describe how awful it is to give up a child. And they still haven't found him, and he's still out there free. and she's gone. And we won't ever see her again, and he's out there living his life like nothing ever happened. And it doesn't seem to be fair.
She's right. It isn't fair. However, 3 months after Sherry's body was discovered, Bear was arrested and charged with her murder. But while awaiting trial, he escaped from jail. Now, that was in July 1980. That's when an informant told the police that Bear was still in North Carolina, just 80 miles from where the murder took place. And he was seen there again just last week. Bear's a small man, just 5 feet 7 inches tall and 145 pounds. But he has a reputation as a womanizer. When Bear was spotted in January, he was with a woman. The informant said the two were in a red and gray late model pickup truck. The informant also said that Bear had shaved off his beard and dyed his shoulder-length hair blonde. If you recognize Richard Lynn Bear, call our hotline right away. The number's 1-800-CRIME-TV. Bear's accused accomplice, Jeffrey Burgess, is out on bond. He won't even be tried until Bear is in custody. Let's close this case tonight and give Sherry's family the justice they deserve. When we come back, you'll meet the newest fugitive named one of the FBI's 10 most wanted. Stay with us.
Wanted list.
You've helped catch 9 people on the FBI's top 10. Because of that special relationship, the Bureau is once again asking for your help. Tonight, a new name is being added to the FBI's top 10 list. Gerald Watkins, accused triple murderer. Gerald Watkins never should have ended up on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. He had too much going for him. Just last July, he was in the delivery room to celebrate the birth of his daughter, Melanie. His girlfriend, Beth Ann Anderson, was overjoyed. Her 9-year-old son, Kevin, adored his new sister.
He and Beth both were just overjoyed with the baby. He told me, as soon as she was born, how pretty she was, and he was just very happy for her.
Kevin was also happy to have Gerald Watkins around.
He wanted the male image. He wanted somebody to play with him and to befriend him and to take him places and to play his games with him. He was happy to have Gerald there.
Kevin looked up to Gerald Watkins. At 6'3" and 240 pounds, he was a lot to look up to. He was also charming. But Watkins was not all he seemed.
Watkins is a complete con man. He has the ability, not only with women, but just about anybody, to win them over to his side when he talks to them. He's intelligent, he's very well spoken. He lies about his educational background, and he can get away with it.
On July 24th, Watkins' dark side came out. That afternoon, he and Beth Ann had an explosive argument. Watkins moved out. But according to police, later that night, he came back. This time, they say, he came armed with a paramilitary-style Tech-22 semi-automatic. Detective Smokey Hines, a 27-year veteran of the homicide squad, still can't forget the gruesome scene. Amid the baby clothes and toys, they found Beth Ann's body on the living room floor.
She'd been shot numerous times in the upper body and head. The baby was laying on a wraparound sofa behind the mother. The baby was 18 days old. The bullets fired into the baby were all at close range, several to the baby's head, several to the baby's body, to the baby's face, where in fact he may have placed the gun right against the baby's face. How dead is dead.
On the second floor, 9-year-old Kevin was asleep in his bunk bed.
He was able to get up, attempted to run towards his mother's bedroom. He was caught in the hallway here where he was, we feel, executed. Shot numerous times in the head, several times in the upper body. We feel he was trying to get to his mother's bedroom for safety. At that time, his mother was apparently already dead.
The tragedy left 3 dead, a family searching for answers, and police searching for Gerald Watkins.
Okay.
When we first asked for your help on this case last September, callers told police Watkins had gone back to the neighborhood where he grew up, projects on University Avenue in the Bronx. But there he met up with trouble. Although Watkins said he was an unemployed construction worker, police say he made his living selling drugs, and he was a dealer with a dangerous reputation.
Watkins was known for ripping people off. He would not pay up. He was not trusted, but he was feared. He was an intimidating individual.
On August 6th, Watkins was found, barely conscious, dumped at the side of a highway. A Good Samaritan brought him to the hospital, where he was admitted, suffering from severe head injuries. Before hospital workers realized they were treating an accused triple murderer, Watkins was gone. And he won't be easy to find.
I don't think Gerald's going to go easy. I guarantee he won't.
Charles Kane is director of a rehab program where Watkins did time instead of going to prison. He says when Watkins was facing jail time, he actually broke down and cried.
He just couldn't stand to be confined. Confinement to him was hell. And he wanted away from that hell. And he told me he'll do whatever he would willing to do to get out of jail.
That's one of the reasons Watkins is so dangerous. That's why he's now one of the FBI's 10 most wanted. Police fear someone may be helping him.
Knowing that somebody, and probably more than one somebody, is helping him. You know, that it hurts to know that somebody is doing that, because he took 3 beautiful lives. And it's somebody...
To 240 pounds. Police think he could be in the Bronx, Pittsburgh, or Florida. If you know where Watkins is tonight, call 1-800-CRIME-TV. This guy needs to be off the streets. Let's see if we can take him off the top of the list. There's a lot more when we come back, so stay with us. Review of tonight's cases. Seattle police say Martin Shaw Pang is the suspect in a suspicious warehouse fire which caused the deaths of 4 firefighters. Anthony Smith is wanted for fatally stabbing a U.S. Marine in Decatur, Georgia. North Carolina police say Richard Lynn Bear hit a woman over the head and threw her off a cliff when she refused to have sex with him. Gerald Watkins is the newest member of the FBI's 10 most wanted list. Agents say he executed his girlfriend and her 2 young children. Next week, a bizarre tale about how practice didn't make perfect when it came to committing a crime. Target practice can be dangerous, especially if the shooter is one of America's most wanted.
I told my wife to call the ambulance and get me a towel so I could put it on my wound to stop the bleeding.
Rules got in his way.
I have Social Security number, I don't pay income taxes.
Police say his target became the law.
Anytime a subject would shoot a man in his home through the window, I think that's probably about as low as you can get.
That's next Saturday night. I'm John Walsh. Thanks for watching.